The fundamental rights in India enshrined in Part 3, Article 12(35) of the Constitution of India guarantee civil liberties such that all Indians can lead their lives in peace and harmony as citizens of India. These rights are known as fundamental, as they are the most essential for all-round development that is, material, intellectual, moral, and spiritual, and protected by fundamental law of the land that is Constitution. If the rights provided by Constitution, especially the fundamental rights, are violated, the Supreme Court and the High Courts can issue writs under Articles 32 and 226 of the Constitution, respectively, directing the state machinery for enforcement of the fundamental rights. These include individual rights common to most liberal democracies, such as equality before law, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of association and peaceful assembly, freedom to practice religion, and the right to constitutional remedies for the protection of civil rights by means of writs, such as habeas corpus. Violations of these rights result in punishments as prescribed in the Indian Penal Code, subject to discretion of the judiciary. The fundamental rights are defined as basic human freedoms, where every Indian citizen has the right to enjoy for a proper and harmonious development of personality and life. These rights apply universally to all citizens of India, irrespective of their race, place of birth, religion, caste, or gender. They are enforceable by the courts, subject to certain restrictions. The rights have their origins in many sources, including England's Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, and France's Declaration of the Rights of Man. The 6 fundamental rights are: right to equality, Article 14(18), right to freedom, Article 19(22), right against exploitation, Article 23(24), right to freedom of religion, Article 25(28), cultural and educational rights, Article 29(30), right to constitutional remedies, Article 32(35). Rights literally mean those freedoms which are essential for personal good as well as the good of the community. The rights guaranteed under the Constitution of India are fundamental as they have been incorporated into the fundamental law of the land and are enforceable in a court of law. However, this does not mean that they are absolute or immune from constitutional amendment. Significance and characteristics. The fundamental rights were included in the Constitution because they were considered essential for the development of the personality of every individual and to preserve human dignity. The writers of the Constitution regarded democracy of no avail if civil liberties like freedom of speech and religion were not recognized and protected by the state. According to them, democracy is, in essence, a government by opinion, and therefore the means of formulating public opinion should be secured to the people of a democratic nation. For this purpose, the Constitution guaranteed to all the citizens of India the freedom of speech and expression and various other freedoms in the form of the fundamental rights. All people, irrespective of race, religion, caste, or gender, have been given the right to petition the Supreme Court or the High Courts for the enforcement of their fundamental rights. It is not necessary that the aggrieved party has to be the one to do so. Poverty-stricken people may not have the means to do so, and therefore, in the public interest, anyone can commence litigation in the court on their behalf. This is known as public interest litigation. In some cases, High Court judges have acted suo motu on their own on the basis of newspaper reports. The right to equality is one of the chief guarantees of the Constitution. It is embodied in Articles 14(18), which collectively encompass the general principles of equality before law and non-discrimination, and Articles 17(18), which collectively encompass further the philosophy of social equality. The right to freedom is covered in Article 19 to 22, with the view of guaranteeing individual rights that were considered vital by the framers of the Constitution. And these articles also include certain restrictions that may be imposed by the state on individual liberty under specified conditions. Article 19 guarantees 6 freedoms in the nature of civil rights, which are available only to citizens of India. 2. These include the freedom of speech and expression, freedom of assembly without arms, freedom of association, freedom of movement throughout the territory of our country, freedom to reside and settle in any part of the country of India, and the freedom to practice any profession. Right to information, RTI. Right to information has been given the status of a fundamental right under Article 19 of the Constitution in 2005. Article 19, under which every citizen has civil liberties. In 2021, Freedom House ranked India as partly free in its annual Freedom in the World rankings on political rights and civil liberties. In its 2021 annual report on the state of democracy around the world, Sweden-based V-Dem Institute classified India as an electoral autocracy because of restrictions on multiple facets of democracy, such as civil society groups and free speech. Main article: Religious violence in India. Communal conflicts between religious groups, mostly between Hindus and Muslims, have been prevalent in India since around the time of its independence from British rule. Communal riots took place during the partition of India between Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims, where large numbers of people were killed in large-scale violence. Right to life. The Constitution guarantees the right to life and personal liberty, which in turn cites specific provisions in which these rights are applied and enforced. Protection with respect to a conviction for offenses is guaranteed under the right to life and personal liberty. According to Article 20, no one can be awarded punishment, which is more than what the law of the land prescribes at the time of commission of the crime. This legal axiom is based on the principle that no criminal law can be made retrospective. That is, for an act to become an offense, the essential condition is that it should have been an offense legally at the time of committing it. Right to constitutional remedies. Article 32 provides a guaranteed remedy, in the form of a fundamental right itself, for enforcement of all the other fundamental rights, and the Supreme Court is designated as the protector of these rights by the Constitution. The Supreme Court has been empowered to issue writs, namely habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto, for the enforcement of the fundamental rights, while the high courts have been empowered under Article 226, which is not a fundamental right in itself, to issue these prerogative writs even in cases not involving the violation of fundamental rights. Right to privacy. Main article: Right to privacy verdict. The right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of the right to life and personal liberty under Article 21 and as a part of the freedoms guaranteed by Part 3 of the Constitution. It protects the inner sphere of the individual from interference from both state and non-state actors and allows individuals to make autonomous life choices.